Hey,
I was about to say that.
it is lunch and learn. We late. It's 1:37. I'm late about a lot of stuff today. I'm just late in the day. How are you today?
I'm really good actually.
Okay.
Overall, mentally, spiritually, emotionally, financially, like I'm in a good space. I don't know if it's the weather.
The weather is nice. It's weathering. It's beautiful out. I thought it was going to be like thunderstormy, so to be able to be outside right now is actually, it's a pretty good thing. I'm in a good space. Um, Today I wanted to do a lunch and learn. I wanted to come on here because I wanted to talk to the people about what we're doing tonight. I'm really excited about what we have going on tonight. So we're starting in the Love Rehab. The Love Rehab is it's basically a place for broken hearts to go to heal. I think in my journey and me talking to people and being actually a certified life coach, and I've been a certified life coach for 3 years now, right? Four, 4 years,
Before.
4 years now. Um, I was trying to figure out what space I wanted to go in. I know that for me, with having a degree in entrepreneurial studies, that was what my goal was, to be able to help people be able to build businesses. And that was what the logistics of every single paper that I did in my duration of undergrad was based on this fictitious business that I actually was taking that business model to take it and become an actual business. It was just an idea that came off of the top of my head one day. I was on a paper, and honestly, the way that this came about, the paper, it just came like that. I had to do the paper. I had so much going on, and that's what me personally, like I have to always take on so much, and I have so much going on that I be forgetting stuff. So I forgot that I had to do this paper. The paper was due at midnight, and I didn't realize that I had to do this paper that was due at 11:59 that day, and it was around 4 o'clock. And I'm like, oh shit. Like I didn't have nothing prepared, nothing. So I was just like, all right, I'm just gonna go off the top of my head. I went off at the top of my head, put this paper together, and I was in the car with my best friend when I was talking about it. Like I sat in the car on the computer, and I was typing out everything. And I'm like, this sounds like a bunch of bullshit. Really, it was just like I wanted to be able to take low income women in low income areas and to be able to help them, low income single mothers. That was like that, niched it down to that. Low income single mothers that were in a minority area. So I only wanted to work with Black and Hispanic women that were mothers that were getting some type of financial assistance, whether it was food stamps or um, Section 8 or WIC or anything that you were getting because you were in that low income tax bracket. So that was what the idea was, what I wanted to help. And when I submitted the paper, I was just looking to get a C, to be honest with you. My professor had wrote back to me and was like, "This is a phenomenal idea. We need more of these." And it happened to be an African American woman that was my professor at the time, and she put my paper on review for peer review, and I got nervous because she was a Black woman. I was a Black woman, and there was another lady that identified she was half and half, and she made it very known in the very first day of class, like she was equally Black as she was Italian. She was half Black and half Italian, and she was equally, and she wanted to be. She identified with that, and she wanted to give both parts equal opportunity. Is how she looked at it, and she was very verbal and very transparent when it came to the things that she had experienced with from the very first day of class. We had to introduce ourselves and the things that she endured as being a mixed woman in America. And she was in a I forgot what state she was in, but it was like in the Midwest area where there's not a lot of. I'm like, I think it's like Idaho. Because I'm like, well, are there a lot of Black people there? And she said it wasn't a lot of Black people in the town that she grew up in. She was very transparent. She didn't experience a lot of dealing with Black people, except for she went to Mississippi every year as a kid to visit her family, and she had to stay there. I think it was like 2 weeks every year. And her experience of staying in Mississippi every year, coming from Idaho, was just like an experience in of itself. So she identified with being 50-50. Like she didn't want to take away from her Black side, but she didn't want to take away from the white side. That's what she grew up with. So with that, it was like two and a half. Like we joked about it, like two and a half, like two and a half women in the class. Everyone else in the class were either Caucasian, female, or male. That's it, and that's all in the entire class. So I'm saying all of this to say that there was I was nervous when she put it up, like because I'm looking to service single mothers that are African American or Hispanic, like minority, and everybody in the entire class thought that it was a really good idea to the point where the teacher, the professor, she has a doctorate in uh, business administration, and she was a professor of we were taking that class was I believe I can't, it was like business management. I believe that was the very first one that I took. Anyway, with that, it was just an idea that sparked with me, and she's saying like basically when you find a need, that is the whole gist of being in business. When you find a need to be able to help others, to be able to find a solution, because we'll have problems. Business owners, what we were talking about earlier today in the a Millionaire wake up call, we were talking about Amazon. Amazon is far beyond anyone else because there's a need, and they have a need. People are lazy. People don't like. Someone when we were talking the other day, when the guy said he DoorDash right up the street, people are not wanting to get in the car and go places. They're not wanting to take walks to places because they're so consumed with doing other things. So yes, I'm hungry. If someone can bring me food, it's a convenience. I'll pay for the convenience because it's something that's making my life easier. And that's what the gist of Amazon. People were, especially during the pandemic, Amazon did really well because people couldn't go out, but they were still able to start their businesses. They were still able to make purchases. They were still able to do their everyday seeming of normal purchasing power from the comforts of their home. And what we realized is during the pandemic is technology is in place now to be able to put us, like we're here in our backyard and we're able to talk to the masses of people straight from the backyard. So technology has put us in a better place. Technology has made it where we're able to maneuver and make other moves, but now we need to be able to educate ourselves. We need to be able to put ourselves in a position where we're able to learn how we can utilize the technology to be able to earn. How are we able to use the technology to be able to communicate with people? I think it's a gift and a curse because while we're able to grow as far as financially and able to do connections, we're also on the flip side not able to effectively communicate with others, because yes, I'm able to have a conversation with you, but now are you looking at text messages? Are you looking at context clues? Are you listening to tones? Are you feeling? And then the other flip side is, are you watching something with authority? Are you watching something that is authentic? Are you watching something like you see so many people that are out there that's like, oh, they're making money, so I'm going to follow what they're doing, follow the leader. And we're a society of following a leader. And now everybody that has a ring light, everybody that can repeat after me, everybody that can monkey see, monkey do society, now we're following it. And you can almost tell when you're looking at people's landing pages, when you're looking at people's Instagram pages or YouTube, their information is almost copycat. It's almost identical.
Almost, it is.
And even to the price points, like how are you serving? If I'm serving value to you and I'm giving you something of myself and I'm saying, okay, my value is $100 of what I have to offer, and then she comes along and she's taking that same information that I regurgitated, she's now regurgitating this information, and the value is that her value is as much as what I have because I gave it to you from the grits and the nits and the grits of what I have going on? Or is it going to be something as now she's just like deeming herself as me? And now she's cloning. Now, I know that a lot of business structures and a lot of business plans say make it duplicatable, but how duplicatable are you going to be where you're giving out false information, or you're giving out wrong information, or you're saying things that are not quite true? And now it might have worked for you, and now you're exhausting the plug, and now it's not going to work for someone else. So now who's the fraud if you're not giving hardcore value? Did you want to add something?
Like that.
Oh, okay. So what we were doing, what I was doing, we trying to figure out what direction I want to coaching. How did I want to go with my business? We had started Faded Cosmetics, and that was what, 10 years ago? Faded cosmetics. And what I realize is people want to feel good. People want to feel good. I'm a cosmetologist. I'm a licensed cosmetologist here in New Jersey. I have been since 1994. I got my cosmetology license in 94. I'm asking you like you was there.
I wasn't there, but I know how to do math.
So in 1994, I got my
I was born in
cosmetology.
95, so I know how to do math.
So in 1994, I got my cosmetology license in the state of New Jersey. I run hair salons, and I feel like my salons were very successful. I've really like we've done hair shows. I've done product development. I've done runway work. I've done platform work with a lot of big name companies. So it's like, okay, I know what to do and I've touched it. And then not only was I in the beauty industry, I was also in the insurance and banking industry where I worked selling life insurance. And I also worked in the mortgage business where I was working, in the mortgage company, and I worked with appraisals, and I worked with real estate investors, and I worked with doing short sales, and I worked with doing a lot in the investment arena with the real estate. And then I also, I feel like I did a whole lot.
Sometimes you got to do it.
I had kids. I had to feed them. I worked in the sex toy, adult entertain, and I say adult novelties, yeah, because it wasn't just sex toys. I had novelties. I had lingerie, but that made it an experience. And what I learned in all of those aspects is that ultimately the bottom line that anybody wants in every single one of those areas, which they're like, it's a wide range of niches, but it's all comes down to the same thing. Everybody had a problem that needed a need, whether you were sexually frustrated, whether you needed to be able to put your family and loved ones in a better situation financially with life insurance, whether you wanted to purchase a home or refinance your home in the mortgage industry, or whether you wanted to be able to, a real estate investment. That was a tricky arena. And what I learned, every single person that I've come across the entirety throughout my entire career, whatever industry that I was working with, is people just want to be happy. And that is what it all boils down to. Happy. They felt like they were looking for happiness with sex. They were looking for happiness with building money. They were looking for happiness. Everybody figured out whatever they wanted to do, whatever their focus was on was going to make them happy. And people were just looking for happiness. And then what I realized is that people that were lacking happiness were people that were somehow broken. They had past traumas they were carrying along. They had past bullshit that they had to endure. They had trust issues because people had done things, and it all boiled down to they're lacking some type of love that they're requiring in some way, shape, or form. So what I realized is with going through that and dealing with that, I realized like people just want to be happy, and other people are so fucked up because they're not happy, that they don't like when people are genuinely happy. When people are genuinely happy, they're dealing with their own life, they're minding their business, they're dealing with shit. You don't know what people have going on behind closed doors. You don't know what people have going on in certain circumstances and situations. Oh, sorry. You don't know what people have going on when when they're no longer in your presence. Life is life, and the world is a pretty crazy, pretty place. So now what is it that they're doing is they're masking certain things. They're putting on facades. They're trying to blend in so that they don't look different from everybody else. People are wanting to be so blended in that now they're doing things that don't necessarily form with what they're created to do. People, they're dealing with what other people are doing. They're following the mass. Everybody is going into the stream uphill, or maybe they're going downhill, and everybody is streaming downhill rapidly. And now what do you do when you feel like you don't belong on that boat, or you don't belong on that stream? You're not even belonging in that ocean, but you're going where everybody else is going because it feels right. So what I noticed is that people are afraid to stand and be their own. People are afraid to be free thinkers. People are afraid to do what they were created to do, because ultimately they're afraid to be different. They're afraid to be different. So with that, we created the Love Rehab. Tonight at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we are going live for the Love Rehab. We're allowing you free access so that you can see what's going on. The Love Rehab is a place for broken hearts to go to heal. A lot of people are broken. So we have those two components that we're trying to help. That's what the logistics of what we're doing, to help people from being broken and help people from being broke. Because ultimately, at the end of the day, cash flow is an issue. If your cash flow is not where it needs to be, you're not able to utilize credit. You're not able to build the things that you need to do. People are, their utilization on their credit cards are astronomically crazy at this point.
I'm sorry, because I didn't realize how, like, until recently, and
Mhm.
hearing like most people are utilizing over 50% of their like they almost maxed out, but then they're not making enough money to sit there and cover how much they actually owe, and then it's like an ongoing cycle, and then it's like, oh well, I want to fix my credit, but then it's like you don't have the funds to pay what you owe. Like I'm seeing that, and I'm seeing it with a lot of older people. So it's now like if the older people didn't get it, how who's teaching the younger people?
So that's what the whole point of us trying to do is. I know for a fact that it's a mindset thing, and we weren't taught that as kids growing up. We weren't taught having a mindset of abundance. We weren't taught on generational wealth. We weren't taught to I spend and it's going to come back as easily. We weren't taught any of those things. So now it's imperative for us to teach our children and our children's children as to what direction that we need to go in as far as mindset, when it comes to funding, when it comes to just being at peace, because people are not at peace with themselves. People are so angry. People are so caught
Right.
up in hurt. People are in their ego. We're so caught up in the ego. We're not at the point of thinking like, okay, it's not about me. It's not that serious. It's not that deep. So let's go to a whole nother level. Let's take it to a whole nother angle. I have some key points that I wanted to talk about here. Put them up, please. Oh, no, so that's not well, what we realize, what we want to talk about in the Love Rehab, what the Love Rehab is a space where a safe space where broken hearts go to heal. What we'll be doing tonight is just showing you, talking to you about what we have going on, what we will be doing. We'll be doing self awareness and reflection, mindful practices. We'll have meditation. We'll have open forums so you'll be able to talk. We'll take time for you to be able to regulate your emotions and just having conversations. What we realize is just sitting down talking. Sometimes it makes you feel better. Sometimes you will have things that you're carrying and shit that you don't want other people to know. So we do have NDAs that you will fill out. Um, so and you'll fill out and we'll fill it out. So anything that we discuss is not to be discussed with anybody else. If we start in there and we're talking and you feel like you had sex with 50 people in the last 10 days because that's
Like
just what you were
24
doing.
hours.
Listen,
Like,
if that's what you feel like you need to do, that's not nobody's business and we're not going to be talking about it. But just as if you're in there and you're hearing somebody talk about something, um, specific to something that so you want to feel comfortable. So we'll have NDAs. So anybody that's in the group will have to sign an NDA for anything that's discussed in the group. You won't be able to participate without doing it. It's just our way of protecting this place and making it a safe space. We also have healing circles. So we'll be doing healing circles, which just basically healing. We'll do healing exercises. We have shadow work that we're doing. We have um, what else do we have? Exercises. We have group exercises. We have homework. We have journaling prompts. We have all of these things that we'll be doing. We also have something in the Love Rehab. It'll be if you and your mate. That's specifically for couples. So we have the couples corner where if you and your mate are having issues, you guys are together, maybe your sex life is not where it needs to be, maybe your communication is not where it needs to be, maybe you guys get on each other's nerves. And with the pandemic, and we saw with COVID, people were getting divorced at high rates because they were stuck in the house with each other and they didn't even really like each other. So what we're doing with the couples corner is to be able to have different activities. We have the potential love workbook that's available now at any cost that you want to pay. Like you don't have but $1, you could pay $1, about $5. $5, if you want to do $30, whatever the case that you want to, whatever you want to pay. The Potential Love workbook is there, and it's practical questions, and it's like a real workbook that you and your mate can sit down and have questions that you can ask each other. Sit down. It's a beautiful day outside today. Once you guys get home from work, take like 15, 20 minutes and sit outside in the yard, on your back porch, on your front porch, or whatever. Sit in the car, whatever. Take a walk, get the questions, and start asking each other questions and getting to know your partner. A big portion of the heartbreak that people are going through is because they're forced in situations that they don't need to be in, whether that's romantically, whether it's your job, whether it's whatever case may be. You're in a situation and your energy is not in alignment with the person, or the person is not in alignment with your energy, and now it's chaotic energy all over the place. For what? We'll also be doing financial education and literacy. 90% of the breakups of America are because of financial.
But a lot of people are not even having a financial conversation.
Exactly.
So it's like I didn't realize that. I'm like, I'm so used to either if you're in a relationship, that's a conversation you have. Y'all set goals together. Y'all make it y'all yin and yang. So to see different shows or to have different conversations where it's people in marriages that have kids and they never talked about their finances, but then they're wondering why they're in debt, or they're wondering why they can't save for a rainy day. But then it's like, okay, you got a whole gambling problem over here. You drink and you gamble, but that was never a conversation that was had.
Or you like shoes and he drink and he gamble, and you always buying shoes every time you see, or every time you feel like, oh, it's brunch time, or y'all both drink and he gamble and you like shoes, and now you can't figure out why your utilization is so high on your credit card, or your debt to income ratio is so high, because ultimately you're not properly educated about personal finance. So what we're going to do is take personal finances topics. We're going to do a lot more on budgeting, saving, investing, debt management, knowledge, giving all kinds of knowledge that we learned. We'll talk about the things that maybe your mom didn't teach you about finances. I'll be talking about the things that I wish I paid attention to my mom with the finances. So we'll be working on those financial aspects, because a big portion of the conflict in America really is finances. Cash flow, budgeting, finances, and things of that nature, personal finances. We'll also talk about setting boundaries and priorities, establishing clear boundaries around your financial goals, priorities, but then about your personal goals and priorities. A lot of times you're in a relationship with someone, or even with your children. I know with us, we have to set boundaries like, okay, this doesn't make me feel good, or if I'm doing this, I need you to do this, or whatever the case may be. So we're going to be talking about boundaries and setting boundaries and setting priorities, and also seeking support. A lot of times when you're dealing with situations or relationships, or even with grief, I learned the biggest thing with me was dealing with grief. I learned that grief was love that was so immense and you felt like it had nowhere to go, and grief will fuck you up. Like, you don't realize that you'll be sitting here fine 1 minute and then you'll start crying, and there's no definition as to say how you're supposed to grieve or how one is supposed to deal with grief. And everybody deals with it differently. So we'll be a support system for you to be able to talk about if you're grieving, if you're going through heartbreak, if you're going through loneliness, if you're going through depression. We have the Drowning Debbie Downer Stopping Depression workbook and book that's going to be dropping within the next couple of weeks. And so we're really trying to come up with different tools and resources for you to be able to deal with a broken heart and dealing with brokenness, all types of brokenness. And that's what the Love Rehab is created for. We're also working with the Million to Millionaire movement. That's going to be for entrepreneurs. If you want to be an entrepreneur and you feel like you want to get to a next level, we're strategizing and coming up with strategies to be able to come to the next level. Business funding, personal credit, business credit, obtaining whatever you can do to be able to get to your business to the next level. A lot of people don't have the resources, they don't have the tools, they don't have the know-how to get them to the next level. So if we get in position to be able to get to the next level, we'll be able to help. We have grants that we'll be working on. I believe Wednesday in the Million to Millionaire, we have a list of grants that we're going to be going on. What we learned about doing grants, I was working with 2 people trying to help them get grants, is that shit is tedious as hell. It's tedious as hell.
But it makes you make sure that your business is top notch and together, and you know what's going on, and they give you certain things that you're looking for. And it's like, People be so quick, oh, I'm an entrepreneur, I have my own business. But then the first thing they looking to see what your business credit is doing. And the biggest thing is your DNB. And it's like a lot of people don't even know what that is. So it's like we're teaching you. You don't have to pay nobody to get it. You could get it for free. But it's like with knowledge comes your power. So now it's like, all right, but it also like with getting funding is you're making sure that your business is
Properly
A1.
set up. You want to make sure
You
your
want to
business
make
is
sure.
properly set up. A lot of people, I gotta get an LLC.
No,
You
you
don't need
don't.
an LLC. You don't need an LLC, and it burns my butt every single. Well, not burns my
I'm like,
butt.
that
That
sounds
sounds
drastic.
drastic. It pisses me off to see people that say LLC when that might not necessarily be the structure that you need for your business. We're always doing what everybody else is doing. We're copycatting everybody else. So one person say LLC, now we all have to get LLC. LLC might not be the necessary tool that you need for your business structure. So what we need to do is educate and stop copycatting. We got a class that we got to do, so we'll jump off of here now. I'll be back on here a little bit later. If you guys want to do the love rehab tonight, you are free to join the love rehab. All I'm asking you to do is register. That's it. That's all. It's free tonight. You can join, say 8:30 Eastern Standard Time. We'll be doing a love rehab. We'll be going in there and hopefully healing. So I thank you guys for paying attention to me right now. I have another class that I have to do in a few moments, and
I was about to say, I think each platform will have the link in the description somewhere. So that we can end
it's the
it.
link in my bio. So you could go on each platform to the link in bio, and then you can hit Love Rehab registration for today. Namaste.